Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa with BCABS and Marco, and welcome to our 5-minute technique series. Our very first video is going to be an introduction to clicker training using positive reinforcement. Now, what is positive reinforcement? Positive reinforcement is simply adding something to the environment, in this case, a tasty food reward, and rewarding our dog or our puppy for performing a desirable behaviour. Now, when we're using positive reinforcement, we're increasing the chance or the frequency or the likelihood of our puppy or our dog performing that desirable behaviour in that situation or environment again and also into the future. Okay, so we're using positive reinforcement. That's a very nice way to train our dog, and that's the best way to train our dog. But how does our puppy or our dog know when they're performing the right behaviour? Well, that's where the clicker training comes in. Now, a clicker is one of these little contraptions, and basically they make a very unique sound, and this is the sound that when our puppy or our dog hears this sound, we then offer our puppy or dog a reward, and over time they will associate that sound to mean that they've performed a desirable behaviour and they're going to be rewarded for it. Now, thank you, Marco. Now, I've just given Marco a finish cue to let him know that that's the end of the training session for the time being, that there's no more treats coming. Now, with respect to the clicker, the sound of the clicker, what we are doing, we are marking the specific point in time that our dog or our puppy has performed the right behaviour, and we're communicating to our dog that this sound means you've performed the right behaviour, and we're going to reach in our treat pouch and give you a reward for that. Now, it's really important that we reward our dogs or our puppies when we're doing a training session within a very short period of time, and it's very short, around about a half a second. So that sounds really tricky in getting the reward to our dog in that space of time, so they can then make the association that they've done the right behaviour, and that's what we're looking for. So that's where the clicker comes in, because it is also called a bridge, which is spelt B-R-I-D-G-E, and it bridges the time gap between us pressing the button, communicating to our dog, you've done the right behaviour and a reward is coming, and the time that it takes for us to then reach into our treat pouch and give that reward to our dog. So this marks the specific point in time where our dogs perform the right behaviour, but it also gives us that little leeway of time to then reach into our treat pouch and say, here's your reward, okay? Because they already know that it's coming. Now let's just have one more look at conditioning the bridge, which is training Marco to learn to associate the sound of the clicker, meaning that he's performed the right behaviour and that a reward's coming. Now, the first thing to do is let's see if we can coax Marco back with a start cue. He's just having a little bit of a scratch there, Marco. Marco, would you like to train with us, please? Marco's making his way back. Oh, he's realised there's a treat there. That's great. So I've just given Marco a start cue. He's taken the food from me very readily, so that means he's pretty happy to interact with me. So I'm going to go ahead and start my training session again, and this is going to be conditioning the bridge with Marco. So I'm just pressing the clicker and I'm giving Marco a reward, and I'm giving him another reward. So you can see that when I press the clicker, it makes a unique sound, and Marco's anticipating that a reward's coming very quickly. He's understanding what that means very readily. All right, so we're just going to end that session now. Thank you, Marco. So that is my finish cue, and that's signalling to Marco that there's no more treats coming, and that's the end of that session for the time being. Now, that was very simple and very easy to do, but it is an important piece of information to know before you start clicker training. You need to have your dog familiar with the sound of the clicker, and you need to be able to provide a specific meaning for your dog when you're using this. In this case, we're conditioning our dogs to understand that when they hear the sound of this clicker, it means A, they've performed the correct behaviour that we're looking for, and B, just give us a second because we're going to reach in our treat pouch and give you that reward. So I hope you're already taking some notes and looking online as to where you can buy your clicker and your treat pouch, and looking forward to starting training with your dog using clicker training and positive reinforcement. Well, thanks very much for watching our very first video on our 5-minute technique series. Now, it was a very brief and very basic introduction to clicker training using positive reinforcement, but it's a very important concept nonetheless, and it's also important to introduce your dog to the clicker in the right way. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing for more videos like this, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Well, that's about it from Marco and me this week. Thanks for watching, and remember, from Marco and me, stay positive.